and we'll make sure our mics are working. I think they're working now. Madam Clerk, please let the record reflect that a quorum is present. This time I'd call on Jerry Little to lead us in the invocation and Pledge of Allegiance. Jerry?
Let's pray. Dear Heavenly Father, I pray you'll give us the counsel here tonight, the wisdom and courage to do what's in the best interest for our employees, our city, and our citizens, in difficult times. Amen.
Amen.
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Jerry. That brings us to the next item on the agenda is approval of the agenda. Before I ask for approval, I would like to request a motion to amend the agenda to include immediately after approval of the minutes, comments from Berea College President Lyle Ruloff, who's joined us this evening. Is there a motion to amend? By Jim Davis, second by Katie Startzman. All in favor of the motion, please say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, please say no. All right, next we're on to approval of the agenda as amended. Is there a motion to approve? By Jerry Little.
Second.
Second by Steve Cottle. Any discussion on the agenda? Seeing none, I'll ask for a voice vote. All in favor of the motion, please say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, please say no. The motion carries and the agenda is approved as amended. Next item on the agenda is approval of the minutes from June 6th and June 9th meetings, and those have been sent to you in advance. I would request a motion to approve both sets of minutes with one vote. Without objection?
Bruce, I have a correction if we could.
Sure, David,
On the
go right
special
ahead.
special meeting, June 9th, down there about 3/4 of the way down, it says little motion, Rowlett seconded. That was actually, as I remember, Ronnie who seconded that.
Robin, you got that? Without objection, we'll accept that as an editorial change to the minutes. At this point, I would request a motion to approve both sets of minutes, June 6th and 9th, from Steve Cottle, second by Cora Jane Wilson. Is there any discussion on the minutes or any additional edits or corrections that need to be made? Seeing none, I'll ask for a voice vote. All in favor of the motion, please say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, please say no. The motion carries and the minutes for June 6th and June 9th are approved. As you'll recall, at our last meeting, I'd asked Berea College President Lyle Ruloff to come. You'll also see Lori Ruloff accompanying Lyle today. One of the reasons I wanted him to come is that Lyle and Lori are retiring, and they're here through the end of June, and they have big plans for retirement, grandchildren, family, all kinds of good things. One of the reasons I wanted Lori to come, in case you haven't met her or seen her, is that my perception of Lyle and Lori is that they are a package deal. So they've been here in Berea for 11 years now, if I'm not mistaken, and have made a difference in our community. So I did want Lyle to come and comments from our outgoing Berea College president, and also an update on anything you might like to update us on Berea College. And Lori, I would invite you, when Lyle's finished, if you would like to address the council, you will have the floor too, ma'am. Lyle?
Thank you, Mayor Fraley, and the rest of you fine contributors to good governance in Berea, Kentucky. It's a privilege for me to address you one last time. I have enjoyed these occasional meetings, and thank you, Mayor Fraley, for inviting me to update the City Council on matters ongoing at the college. I believe that over the 11 years that you mentioned, the relationship between the city and the college has grown closer and more mutually supportive and productive, and for that I'm very grateful. It has been a pleasure also to take on some joint projects together with the city, and those include things that happen on our campus, and we appreciate the support in expansions of our physical plant, but I think more significantly, recreational opportunities in the area, the expanded hiking trails and other things that make this a very pleasant place to live, more and more all the time. Of course, a city and a college are two different entities, and I thank you also for understanding that difference and supporting us as a college. We believe that we have a wonderful home in Berea, Kentucky, and look forward to an ongoing relationship that's mutually beneficial for many, many years. I have asked Lori to say a little bit about our future plans, so.
Well, thank you for including me, Mayor Fraley. That's so nice of you, and you've been such a good friend, and a lot of you have been, and I just truly appreciate that. We will be moving to Michigan, Cadillac, Michigan, which is my hometown, and once Lyle and I started going out together, he started coming up there, and he went there more than any other place he'd ever lived, since his dad was a pastor and he'd moved around a lot, so he considers that his hometown too. So he actually chose where we were going to live, and we have a home on the lake there that we bought 11 years ago and have been building it up a little bit. It was kind of run down. So we're pretty excited about that, and the grandkids love to come there. You're on a lake, people like to come and visit you, so so yeah, that's going to be good, and we do look forward to doing things that we love to do, like gardening, travel around the U.S. mainly, and especially just spending more time with our grandkids. But, we'll be back here once in a while when there's a building dedicated or a new president is being inaugurated. So we'll be back. But anyway, thank you so much. It's going to be so... I'm sorry, I didn't know I was going to do that. I love Berea, and I have so many wonderful friends here. And, people keep saying, you're going to love retirement, and I say, I know I will, but I'm going to miss all these wonderful people here. So thank you for being part of those wonderful people.
Thank you, Lori.
Thank you for working with Bud Fund.
Thank you. Yes. Would you love to do that?
And by way of updates, I'd like to say that progress in the forest continues. You may have noticed that our new horse barn is complete and serving as accommodations for some really mighty Berean draft horses. We're up to a herd of 6 at this point, but growing all the time, and therefore able to do more and more animal-powered logging in the forest. We've also added a few small purchases to the florist lately. And our hydro projects are going well. Lock 12 is operating, producing electricity, lowering the electric bills of your friends in Jackson County, but also from the point of view of Berea College, producing some nice revenue for us as well. We took that on as a project that would have an environmental impact, but would also be a responsible financial investment, and that's working out well. On the strength of that outcome, our project at Lock 14, 30 miles up the river from Ravenna, is off to a good start, and we expect that to be complete near the end of 2024, at which point we'll be generating at those two plants approximately the amount of electricity that the college uses annually, and about the amount to supply 2,000 households. So we consider that just a nice success for us. We're the first college in the country to take on a hydroelectric generation project, so we're quite excited about that too. And progress on the new, we call it the Commit building for computer science, media, and information technology. That building replaces Hall Science, which was taken down after we built the new science building, and it's coming along well. And we expect departments to be moving in the summer of 2024 there. So that's my update, and we'd be happy to try to answer any questions if you have any this one last time we get to be. And we hope that you'll give the same warm welcome to Dr. Cheryl Nixon, who will be Berea's 10th president. My impression, although I wasn't involved in the search, my impression is that she will continue Berea's mission and the good relationship between the city of Berea and Berea College as we march together through history.
Thank you, Lyle. I'll take the first question if that's all right.
Sure.
One of the things that I think you'll be remembered for many things, but one of the things that I've noticed, having being a Berean most of my life, is that there has been more capital investment, more new buildings essentially during your tenure, especially recently, than in my lifetime. Would you care to just talk a little bit about the capital investment and the legacy that may carry on for the future?
Sure. The college had gone through some difficult financial times with the downturn that occurred in the markets in 2008 and 9. And so we had fallen a little bit behind on maintaining our buildings. I'm pleased that we've been able to complete several replacements of academic buildings, and perhaps more importantly for the well-being of our students, we have been able to upgrade and replace most of the residence halls on campus in my 11 years. 2 replacements, Kettering and Danforth, we took them down entirely and built new buildings, and the others have been renovations. And Deep Green, the building right on Prospect Street, which was started under my predecessor, Dr. Larry Shin, was completed during my time here and recently renamed for Larry and Nancy Shin. So all of those projects have put us to a place where I believe our campus is not in a situation of really urgent need for replacements. There's only one building left that really is a poor functioning building, and that's the Danforth Technology Building. The building we are doing right now, we call Tech 1. It replaces the computers, it provides new facilities for the computer science program, which is in Danforth Technology. By the way, that's our newest major. It was approved long after the building of Danforth Technology, so they've always been a kind of ad hoc fit into that building. So their new building will provide the right kind of facilities for our newest and our most heavily enrolled major. The second project, which is scheduled to start around 2025, will provide a new home for the technology programs within Danforth Technology. So we call that now ETAD, for Engineering, Technology, and Applied Design. That does engineering, advanced manufacturing, and we'll put our sculpture studio in there too, because of they also work with heavy, large objects. But anyway, yes. And those projects have produced a lot of local economic activity, but they also have us well situated for continuing to serve our students and for attracting faculty. Faculty come when you have good facilities for them to work in. So thank you for the question, Mayor Fraley.
Thank you, Lyle. And I will open the floor for questions. Cora Jane?
I don't really have a question, just a couple of comments. I appreciate you all. But I had gentlemen at the Antique Mall that were here purchasing wood for the Mayflower, and the governor actually got up and spoke about that he had his children on I think it was spring break vacation, and he goes in, and this lumber comes from Kentucky, actually out of Berea, Kentucky, and he's here, a week or two later speaking. But they were telling me about they were here to get the tulip poplar, I believe is correct, what they called it. But how interesting, and they were talking about the horses and all of that. And I maybe have told you this, but I don't know, getting old. My great-grandfather sold mules to the college to do logging. So, interesting.
I don't think you've told me that, Cora Jane. That's fascinating.
He did.
We again, not the same mules, of course. We still have two mules, and we have six horses. 2 of them are just coming into the age where they can work. So very, very fascinating. Yeah, actually, a lot of the logging that happened here to support building projects on campus was done with animal power back then.
Yeah, this would have been early 1900s.
Yeah, so probably wood that went into Phelps Stokes Hall. Yeah.
Yeah, it was really cool. And they wanted to buy his farm, or They wanted to trade him. Someone gave them land up in Illinois around some lakes, and they would trade him his farm and for that, if he wanted to, and give him a little bit of money. And he let them know he was not leaving Kentucky. And it turned out to be Chicago.
Well, college presidents do have to leave. They're not supposed to stay around and be a nuisance, so. But your grandfather made the right choice.
Jim?
Thank you all for your service to Berea, and you're the cause of my wife's flower garden being full of milkweed plant. So that's all right. She loves the butterflies, and she grows a lot of milkweed. Question I have, and I heard through the grapevine, may be true, may not be true, and we may be talking about the same building. That is the Edwards building coming down?
Yes, it is. The Edwards building was built in the first decade of the 20th century, and it has long been a problem for occupants, for maintenance, but it's also very important historically. That's the first building that Berea College students took on most of the work in terms of bricklaying, etc. And in fact, if you look at the brickwork in Edwards Hall, you can see that the students were pretty terrible at bricklaying as they did the first couple of courses, but that they got better as they worked their way up the building. Students also made all those bricks using clay quarries on Dead Horse Knob, and then there's one also over on the other side of Brushy Fork Creek. So very historic building. So we worked very hard as we considered what to do about that building to see how much of it we could save. At the end of the day, because of its close proximity to the intersection and because of the nature of the construction, we have decided regrettably that we do have to take it down entirely. The new replacement will come up in the same footprint, and we will reproduce some of that original brickwork, mistakes and all, because I think that's part of our story and significant to the way that students have always contributed essentially at Berea College. We wrote to all the foundation school alumni who spent time in Edwards Hall to let them know about this, and they've been supportive. They were glad to hear about the plans and supportive of the change. I was in there for a little while. We had a big flood in Lincoln Hall, so for 2 months, every part of the administration moved over to Edwards. It is a terrible building, climate-wise. So was the old Hall Science, which I also taught in. So these projects are really necessary.
Nothing you can do to save it.
No, actually, that building, nowadays, if you watch a new building come up, you put up a steel skeleton that is the main structural integrity of the building, and then you surround it with the right kinds of walls and windows to insulate it properly, etc. But it's the steel skeleton that holds up the building. That older style, you built the walls and then you put the wooden beams across, and there's really no way to make any kind of internal adjustments without taking the whole building down. You can't bring it back to the skeleton and at least save the steel skeleton. It's very regrettable, but that was the method of construction back in the early part of the 20th century.
Thank you.
Other questions or comments? Steve?
Not a question, just a comment. Thank you for your service to Berea. Berea College is, I think, near and dear to my entire family. We have a whole generation of people who are Berea College graduates, and so it's always been very kind of important to me as I watched, and also being in university settings and kind of watching from afar the work you all do. I think you've done a really exceptional job of leading the college with a steady hand and an eye to the future in some fairly difficult times at different points. And so I admire the work that you've done, and I hope you really enjoy retirement, because you, I'm sure, deserve it after this long of being a college president. And we will very much miss your family and the community, and it's very evident and clear the meaning that this town has for you all, and I think that you've definitely left your mark as a family on Berea.
Well, thank you, Steve. That means a lot coming from you, and we appreciate all you do for EKU and what your family has done at Berea too. Thank you very much. Thank you for investing yourself in service to this community too. We appreciate that.
Ronnie?
Well, I'm gonna miss you running, the dog running you around town every Sunday morning. It seems like you're out. And the dog's leading you instead of you leading them.
Yeah, we consider that not a run but a pull by the dog. But yes, this is a great place for running, and nearly every Sunday morning I run from the house out to Indian Fort Theater, and I used to run back, but now that I'm 69 years old, I don't think I have to run back anymore, so Lori comes out and picks the two of us up out there. That's a beautiful, almost 5-mile run or walk. I mean, now that the trail is complete all the way, and terrific. I recommend it for everybody. And our last time doing that was this past Sunday, and we'll miss that run. Right in Michigan, I get to run around a lake. That's 10 miles. Or in the winter, when the ice is thick, I can run across the lake and back. That's only 6 miles. So that's one of the reasons to really be excited about winter in Michigan. It shortens your runs.
Other comments or questions for Lyle or Lori? All right, seeing none, I will repeat this story. I've told it several times. When I was a novice to public office and was first elected to city council, the first community leader that called me to congratulate me or contacted me was Lyle. And not long after that, several of us, Lori and Lyle, invited us to their home, new council members, and I'll never forget that. You always made us feel welcome for as long as I've known you. So very grateful to both of you for that. But also, I'll just simply say thank you for your leadership. Thank you even more for your friendship. And I think I can speak for many people on both of those accounts. And we wish you well in retirement, and we hope you'll come back to visit often. So thank you all.
Thank you, Mayor Fraley, and thanks to all of you similarly for how you invest in this beautiful little town.
Thank you, Lyle.
We will take our leave, having another obligation in a half an hour. So
Thank
saying goodbye is complicated.
Thank you. And Lori, thank you for coming too.
Thank you so much.
I'm really glad that Lyle and Lori could make it. I know how hard it is when you're moving and you're transitioning, so that was nice that they would spend a little time with us. The next item on the agenda is the Independence Day holiday schedule, July the 4th, and that would be our next regularly scheduled city council meeting. I said we would put it on the agenda and open it to discussion. If anybody wants to make a motion, they can. I see Teresa over there with a light on and ready to go. Teresa?
I would move that we cancel the July 4th meeting with understanding that if business comes up, we can schedule a special meeting, but I'm sure Priscilla has a lot to tell us about what's going on down at the park, and we'll all meet down there if we need to. It won't be a formal meeting, though.
Okay, there is a motion. There's a second
Second.
by Cora Jane Wilson. Is there any discussion on the motion?
I thought it could be a good civics opportunity for our council meeting to precede the fireworks. You know, I'm just teasing. I'm just teasing. Like a public council meeting. Like, this is how we do it. Twice a month, y'all.
Exactly.
Just teasing.
Don't give me any ideas. All right, any other discussion? Seeing none, we'll move to a voice vote. All in favor of the motion to suspend the July 4th meeting, please say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, please say no. Motion carries, and we will schedule special call if any pressing issue comes forward before the July 18th meeting. Am I right on that? July 18th? All right. The next item on the agenda is resolution number 09-2023. I'll note that a work session was held prior to this meeting with council and economic development consultant Lucas Witt. At this point, I'll turn it over to corporate counsel Jerry Gilbert. Jerry.
Whereas Kentucky law provides for certain incentives to induce Hitachi Electric Systems of America and its successors and assigns to locate and expand its manufacturing facilities in the Commonwealth. And whereas the Kentucky Economic Development Finance Authority, established by Kentucky law, has requested that the City of Berea agree to cooperate with the authority by offering local incentives in addition to the incentives offered by the authority to encourage the location of Hitachi, its successor and assigns, in the premises previously occupied by Hitachi on Maydee Road in the City of Berea. And whereas Kentucky law permits an eligible company to impose wage assessments against employees as negotiated with the authority, and whereas Kentucky law permits a local jurisdiction such as the City of Berea to forego 1% of any occupational license fee imposed via credits against the local jurisdiction's occupational license fee for employees of an eligible company as an additional incentive. And whereas the City Council of the City of Berea desires to express its intent to provide such an incentive as encouragement to Hitachi and its successors and assigns to locate its manufacturing facility in the premises previously occupied by Hitachi on Maydee Road in the City of Berea. Now therefore be it resolved by the City Council of the City of Berea of Berea, Kentucky as follows. 1. That the City Council herein reaffirms its intention to provide the incentives provided by Kentucky law by foregoing 1% of the occupational license fee imposed by Section 60.200 of the Berea City Code via credits against the occupational license fee otherwise imposed on the employees of Hitachi and its successors and assigns, to locate its manufacturing facility in the premises previously occupied by Hitachi on Maydee Road in the City of Berea. 2. This resolution of intent is specifically conditioned on the authority negotiating an acceptable tax incentive agreement with Hitachi and its successors and assigns, and is intended to provide the authority with the ability to include the City of Berea's expressed intent to forego 1% of its occupational license fee as an additional incentive for the location as aforesaid.
Is there a motion to approve and adopt Resolution 09-2023? Motion by Jim Davis and a second by David Rowlett. Is there any discussion on the resolution? I will, for the record, state that this is an expansion of Hitachi Ostimo Americas in their current footprint on Maydee Road. The project is a $153 million investment into their current manufacturing operation here in Berea. This will include additional manufacturing lines and equipment. The expansion of the facility will include an additional 752,000 square feet on the total footprint of 62 acres of land, and is in response to increased market demand and growth within the EV industry. Hitachi's investment will create 167 new jobs for Kentuckians, bringing their total employment to over 1,100 at the facility, and the average wage of the new 167 jobs is $19.78 per hour. That's just for the record. Any additional discussion? Seeing none, I'll ask for a voice vote. All in favor of the motion to approve and adopt Resolution 09-2023, please say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, please say no. The motion carries, and resolution number 09-2023 is approved and adopted. The next item on the agenda is ordinance number 04-2023, the fiscal year 24 budget. This is the second reading. Mr. Gilbert.
Having recited the monetary figures in the first reading of ordinance number 04-2023, I'll summarize the ordinance as follows. An ordinance of the City of Berea, Kentucky, adopting the annual budget for the fiscal period July 1, 2023 through June 30, 2024 by estimating revenues and resources and appropriating funds for the operation of city government and providing for a long-range capital improvement project and public facilities improvement program, budget, and plan.
And again, this is a second reading. Is there a motion to approve and adopt ordinance number 04-2023?
So moved.
By Steve Cottle. Is there a second? by Jerry Little. And discussion, we'll move to Jerry Little. Jerry, you have the floor.
Did we do our ordinance on approving the pay grade changes yet?
No,
We had to do an ordinance on that before we,
no, my understanding is a sequence on the pay grades and the pay system would come after the approval of the budget.
after the budget.
Yes, sir, we should have the first reading at our next meeting, Rose. I'll recognize.
Yeah, we'll be working on that, getting that over to JT and Jerry to work on. But we had to have the funding before we can do the pay grade ordinance. You could do it at the same time, but we wanted to make sure that this happened before we put the money into getting that ordinance done.
And corporate counsel did advise to do a separate ordinance where we're
But
changing the
they
class.
will be an ordinance on it.
Yes, sir. Yes,
Okay,
sir.
I thought it had to be done first. I
No,
didn't
sir.
know. Okay, thank you.
Yes, sir. Any other discussion on the motion? Any other discussion on the motion? Seeing none, we'll move to a roll call vote, and I'll begin with Jerry Little.
Aye.
Mr. Cottle?
Aye.
Ms. Wilson?
Aye.
Mr. Terrell?
Aye.
Mr. Rowlett?
No.
Ms. Startzman? Ms. Centers?
Aye.
Mr. Davis?
Aye.
I'll record the vote as 7 in favor, 1 opposed. The motion to approve and adopt ordinance number 04-2023 carries. All right. The next item on the agenda is ordinance number 05-2023, an ordinance relating to alcohol sales, and this is the first reading. Mr. Gilbert.
Whereas Berea City Code Sections 56.001 through 56.006 provides for the regulation of sale of alcohol, permitting limited sales of alcoholic beverages in qualified historic sites, qualified golf courses, and in certain restaurants and dining facilities seating a minimum of 50 persons and deriving a minimum of 70% of gross receipts from the sale of food. And whereas pursuant to Kentucky law, a Madison County local option election held on May the 16th and certified by the Madison County Board of Elections on May the 18th, 2023, Madison County, Kentucky, which encompasses the city of Berea, elected to permit the sale of alcoholic beverages throughout the county. And whereas as a result of the local option vote of Madison County referenced above, the city of Berea is now in an area permitting the legal sales of alcoholic beverages within the city limits. And whereas it is therefore necessary for the city of Berea to enact comprehensive alcohol sale regulations, now therefore the City Council of the City of Berea, Kentucky does hereby ordain as follows. Section 1. That the Code of Ordinances is hereby amended by repealing sections 56.001 through 56.006. Page 5. Section 2. That the Code of Ordinances is hereby amended to enact sections 56.001 through section 56.005 and section 56.099 so that such sections shall read as follows. Section 56.001 provides for the sale of liquors and permitted sections. Section 56.002 provides for definitions of the ordinance. On page 8, section 56003 provides for the creation of the Office of Alcoholic Beverage Control Administrator and his functions and duties. On page 9, section 56.004 provides that licenses are required, the application process, and the regulations of licenses. Page 14. Section 56.005 provides for the operation of licensed establishments. Page 20. Section 56.099 provides for penalties for the violations of this ordinance. Page 22. Section 3. All ordinances or parts of ordinances in conflict herewith are repealed. This ordinance shall be published according to law.
Thank you, Mr. Gilbert, and that is the first reading. Again, we'll note that that is a result of the countywide referendum, and the second reading will be scheduled for the next regularly scheduled meeting, which would be on July the 18th. We will have a work session scheduled the week prior, so we'll try to get that out to everybody well in advance where we can go over this. There's a lot of information to digest. I'll note that on the fees, the fee amounts that are in there are the fees that are charged by our sister city, the city of Richmond. I've requested the fees that the county will charge, and we can kind of compare those, but JT and Jerry left those in and put question marks, so you'll see those as you look through yours, and we'll need to look through there and talk about whether we want to keep things the same as our two neighbors, or if we want to have that different. So again, we'll expect a work session the week prior to the next regular scheduled meeting. Per past practice, I will open the floor for any discussion or any comments on the first reading. Seeing none, we'll move forward. The next item on the agenda is department head reports. And tonight, our feature department head is Priscilla Bloom, who's been busy. It's the busiest part of the year for the parks. Priscilla, you have the floor. Go right ahead.
President's a tall guy. Thank you, Mr. Mayor, Council, and City Administrator. I appreciate the opportunity to give you guys a park update this evening. Probably won't find this surprising, but right now the pool is our main focus. We've been open now for 23 days. Our total attendance is 7,147, which makes our daily average close to 311. Our highest attendance so far was on June 10th with 607 patrons. As you may recall, we've been dealing with a staff shortage, as have many pools, not only in Kentucky, but around the nation. As a matter of fact, it's been reported that nearly half of the country's 309,000 public pools have been forced to reduce hours and close facilities, due to this lifeguard shortage. Now, we have had a few days where we've had to stop patrons from entering because of the number of swimmers in relation to the number of guards we had on staff. But some positive news, after weeks of recruitment and collaborating with the YMCA and local swim teams, as well as other recreation professionals, we've been able to get another 3 guards on staff. Doesn't sound like a lot, but for us it is. We're also hosting currently a lifeguard certification class at our pool, so we hope to have a few more on staff really soon. So hopefully things are looking up. Some other things of note at the pool. Just finished up our first session of swim lessons. We'll have 2 more sessions this season. Hosted 2 swim meets. We'll have 1 more local meet on Monday, and then on July 10th is our annual Bluegrass Swim Conference. It's 9 teams from around the state, and about 500 swimmers will be competing. It's a very busy day. Friday, we had over 200 folks join us for our first dive-in movie of the season. We'll have 1 more July 21st. Every Tuesday evening, we have free family swim nights, and Wednesdays, we have our Aqua Zumba class. So we're happy that we can offer some different types of programming to the community at the pool. And the Aqua Zumba's free if you guys would like to join. Switching gears, the Youth League spring softball and baseball season is wrapping up. And if Mother Nature's not too tough on us this week, they'll finish next week. Looking at our weekend tournaments, we hosted our first one on Saturday. We had 20 youth softball teams, and we are booked up for the season on tournaments. I do have 1 open date in October, but that's all. And we scheduled our annual Swing for the Cure tournament in August, so that's usually our biggest tournament. The last thing to discuss with you guys tonight is our 4th of July preparations. I don't know how we're only 2 weeks away from 4th of July, but we are. Our maintenance crew's been working really hard to get the parks ready for what's our biggest event of the year. Pressure washing, tree trimming, painting, mulching, repairs, just trying to get things ready. Our celebration will be on the 4th at 6 o'clock. We're going to have live music, which will be a mix of classic rock, country, Motown, and R&B. So something for everyone. And if you want us to set up a mobile council chambers, we're happy to do it also. Going to be lots of good food. We've got 7 food vendors, games, prizes, face painting, inflatables, photo booth, and then of course the main attraction is the fireworks that begin at 10 o'clock. I know it doesn't sound like a lot, but we're very busy. And if you have any questions, I'll be happy to take them.
All right, questions for Priscilla, comments? Questions or comments? Priscilla's been busy and getting busier.
Yeah.
So Priscilla, thank you. Appreciate all the work that you and your staff do.
Thank you.
Fields and maintenance have been excellent, so thank you.
Appreciate it.
All right, would any other department heads like to address the council? Kevin Howard never passes the opportunity. I know, our utilities general manager, Kevin Howard. Kevin, you have the floor.
Thank you, Mayor Fraley, Administrator Beverly, and council. And with that said, Ronnie, I've come with some good news tonight, so I'm not even going to ask for anything. Did think it might be worthwhile to give a real quick update on Owsley Fork. We've been pretty active the past few weeks on the design phase amendments. We now have fully executed copies of all of those amendments to the design phase between NRCS, City of Berea, the 2 engineering firms, City of Berea and engineering firms, all that's in place. Horn and Associates arrived yesterday afternoon and began drilling right away. That we have 8 additional core samples that need to be taken to be sent to the lab. If you remember the pyritic shell discussion that we had earlier, this is all a result of the original 90% design submittal when the pyritic shell came into the discussion. So we're full steam ahead right now on that. We've directed Schnabel to be addressing the other key points in the 90% submittal original comments. They're working on that. In the meantime, utility staff, City of Berea staff are meeting with Berea College next week with along with Bell Engineering. Some of the other issues to tidy up before we can go to construction would be a possible roadway closure at the end of Owsley Fork. We're going to have some possible property acquisitions to discuss between the City of Berea and Berea College. Additional property transfer from the college to the city for the graveyard relocation. We may have to transfer more of the existing graves than what we originally anticipated. All of that's, you know, we don't see any roadblocks here. We do feel that we'll be able to come to some pretty swift solutions there. And then also utility relocates with Bluegrass Energy and excuse me, Windstream. We'll be getting those started hopefully before while we have good weather, before cold weather, rainy weather sets in. Updated timeline, October 31st will be the design resubmittal. End of 2023, we hope to hear back from the National Design Center in Fort Worth. What we've been told all through this, as long as we've got those original comments addressed, that, you know, that gets the 90% approval, and then from 90 to 100 is just small items that between us and the local Lexington NRCS office, and hope to have bid documents by the spring of 2024. So just want to give that update.
Good, Kevin. Thank you for the update. And I can tell you, Kevin works really hard at this, and he stays on it. I know it's frustrating at times, but Kevin stays on an even keel and keeps the ball moving forward. So we're looking forward to getting to construction soon. Thank you, Kevin. Any other department heads like to address the council? All right, seeing none, we'll move forward and recognize Rose Beverly for the City Administrator's report. Rose?
Okay, public comment.
Oh, did I miss something? I keep doing that.
Wanted-
Sorry about that. I didn't have that checked off. Next item is public comment. Would any members of the public like to address the council? All right, now we'll really move forward to the city administrator's report. Rose, you have the floor.
Thank you, Mayor. Thank you, council members. So I do have good news today on the Ellipse Street project, the shared use path. KYTC has entered into a state contract with a company called HDR for the oversight of the TAP grant projects. So since it's a state contract, we don't have to put out an RFP or anything extra on that. It'll go out with the regular RFP. So it's my understanding that HDR now has the specs on our project, and they will present a bid or just like an amount, basically not really a bid in this case since they have the contract, to us and to KYTC, and if we agree on it, then we will work out the details and the costs associated. KYTC has agreed that they would still pay for the TAP grant an 80-20 split on this additional cost, which is I think very nice of them, because we're going to already be it's going to be a lot more expensive than we had planned, but it's nice to have that split in there. That'll help us to afford it a lot better. So we are hoping that we will get this done this year now. And I will say that I'm cautiously optimistic, but it is nice that they actually have the contract now and we know who will be doing it. So that makes me feel a lot better, and our engineer feels a lot better, and we know that we're so close. So pretty excited to tell you guys about that. And the street paving update. So far, we've completed Ellipse Street, Mady, Kenton, Leslie, started Pinnacle, and I think Meadowlark will be the next one to get started. Also, the striping folks have been in town, and they're getting going much quicker as well. I think probably because they were already here for other projects. So that worked out in our favor, and we are moving right along. I'm sure you've noticed that. And department head reports will be a bit late, but they're still coming due to the holidays, so you'll be expecting those in your inbox. And finally, I just wanted to let you know, I meant to tell you this at our last meeting, but we have officially submitted grant applications for the Trails Grant. You know we were going to do it, but they have officially been submitted. The Trails Grant for the old concessions and the bathrooms. Land and Water Conservation Fund for some upgrades to the pool. That would be a portion of it, and the block grant for the Ferristown Community Center. Those have all been submitted now. The block grant one was early, that one wasn't due till September, and the other two were due at the end of May. So that is all been. Thank you to Bluegrass Ad for their help, and moving along on that, we'll just have to see where it goes from here, but trying to stretch out those ARPA funds as best we can and get as much done as possible. That is all I have, except for I will say thank you just bringing up all that's going on at the park. I know how hard it's been, and I just want to say good job. I mean, I know that's been a lot to try to do all of that with the limited staff, and I know you guys are working really hard, and I appreciate that. And Kevin, holy cow, I mean, just the time that I've been here in 2 years, how far they've come from all the obstacles that have been put in front of them. And I know you guys have been going through it for a lot longer than me, just watching it. But he has been staying on them really well, and continual meetings, and it's been a lot of work, and we appreciate that. That Owsley Fork project is coming along, so good job. Yes, exactly. Cross your fingers, and I will take questions.
All right, questions for Rose? Comments for Rose? Seeing none, we'll move forward. Thank you, Rose. Good
Thank
report.
you.
And Rose, thank you too. Rose gives a lot of credit to the Bluegrass Ad, but as far as having the foresight to look into these grants and working with the ad, that's all Rose. She's been doing the heavy lifting on our end, so very grateful for your efforts and for your help to get those moving forward. Next item on the agenda is mayor's comments, and I just have one item tonight. I want to make sure the council's aware. I know Teresa and Cora Jane are aware that Casey Botkin was promoted into the vacant captain position within the police department. That's happened since our last meeting, so when you see Casey, please congratulate him. Also, I'll let you know in advance that the first reading of the ordinance, one thing you'll notice in there is that the appointment of the city alcohol beverage control administrator must be approved by council. Currently, Jason Hayes, the police chief, is the ABC administrator. He had that role as the major, but I intend to bring forward the name of Casey Botkin to be the ABC administrator, and I will ask you to vote on that at our next meeting. Vote to approve that after our next meeting, and that would be after the second reading of ordinance 05-2023. That way we've got everything lined up in an order. So just want to make you aware of that promotion and also my intentions to have Casey do that. In addition, out of Amanda's staff, we will be, Jeff will be helping out with that as well. And they will work really well together because this whole ABC kind of crosses the paths between many departments, but especially codes and planning and police, and have to work really closely together. So Jeff Harness will be assisting in addition to his role as an electrical inspector. So we appreciate Amanda and Jeff for volunteering, but Amanda for sharing him and making this a true team approach. Thank you. That's all I have. We'll next move to council comments, and I will begin with Jim Davis. Jim, you have the floor, sir.
Thank you, Mayor. Thank you, Priscilla, for all the work you've been doing. I know it's tough, but it pays off in the end. Kevin, bless your heart. Keep working. Appreciate you. That's about all I've got, except Amanda, I do need to see you afterwards for a minute. Thank you.
Thank you, Jim. Next, we'll move to Teresa Centers. Teresa, you have the floor.
Yes, it was good to hear from both of you, Priscilla and Kevin, especially. We're waiting on all that. And I want to mention that we all need to know that the Berea Crafts Festival is right around the corner. I bet Donna can attest to that, standing on her head for months. But we won't meet again before that. That'll be the weekend directly after the 4th. Is that right? The 7th through the 9th? Yeah. So tell all your friends and neighbors and be especially kind to out-of-town visitors that weekend.
Thank you, Teresa. And next, we'll move to Katie Startzman. Katie, you have the floor.
Well, I was also going to mention Donna because it sounds like LNN Day was a huge success. I only saw it from the periphery, but congrats on that event and for bringing so many people to Berea. I also was able to stop by the bike park, both Saturday and Sunday. The Kentucky Mountain Bike Association had their clinic, and it's really flattering that they chose to have it here for the second or third even, or just maybe the third year. So there were dozens of people there both days, and I sure saw a lot of bikes around that night, both nights vehicles with bikes on the back, and saw them around. So anyway, that was really exciting, and I was really proud of how great. I hadn't been down to the bike park in a minute, and kudos to Public Works. It looks really beautiful down there, and everybody else who's involved, and that I'm really proud of that, and how we're bringing more people to our community through that as well. So thank you.
Thank you, Katie. Next, we'll move to David Rowlett. David, you have the floor, sir.
I also want to thank Kevin for a positive update on the Alza Dam project. Whether you realize it or not, the quality water resource will determine our ability to grow long-term, and it's extremely important that we get this done ASAP. So thank you, Kevin.
Thank you, David. Let's move down to the end to Ronnie Terrell. Ronnie, you have the floor, sir. Thank you, sir. We'll next move to Cora Jane Wilson. Cora Jane.
I just want to thank Priscilla and Kevin. I know the parks is a lot of work. I'm down there a lot as someone yelling in the stands. And Kevin, you've been working on this a long time, so good job, and keep it up. And Jim would want you to work faster if you could. I'm just telling you that in advance. Thank everybody. I hope you have a safe and wonderful 4th of July, and God bless you.
And next, we'll move to Jerry Little.
No comment.
And for the last word, I don't know that you've ever gotten the last word, Steve, so this is dangerous, but for the last word, Steve Cottle.
4 notes, Steve.
I'm actually going to talk about something no one else has. We passed a budget that's a labor of love for the city, I think, every year. The work that goes into that from all of our city staff and employees is, I don't think that any of us really have any concept of how much time that they spend on that. And so thank you to all of the staff for a very well thought out, very, in many ways, conservative budget. It seems like a ton of money, and it is. and it will continue to grow. And it will continue to grow because of things like tonight, where we passed things for occupational tax incentives, because we're going to add 162 jobs to our economy. And I hope that we can continue to do that so that we can continue to provide the level of service that our citizens have become accustomed to, because we provide service at a level that most cities do not, and that is because of commitments that we've made as a city and because we have a very strong staff. So thank you for another really good budget, and I appreciate all the hard work that all of you put in. And that's all.
Jerry tricked us. He's going to end up getting the last word, so.
Yeah,
I think Jerry did that on purpose. Go ahead, Jerry.
when Steve mentioned service, I just happened to think of a service our city gives. And they was picking up today the brush, and I don't know whether people understand just how good a service that is that our city does and how time consuming it is. And I noticed the guys, they had them a rake and they was raking the leaves out of people's yard, and they was trying to get it cleaned up the best they could. And it's just a huge service that we offer our people, and I hope everybody respects that and try not to put their brush out into the street. And it's just we'd be lost without it. That's all I'm gonna say. And I just want to thank I just wanted to say that, and thank you.
Bruce,
Yes, Teresa.
I don't want the last word, but I think I'm
Okay,
going
without
to have.
objection, Teresa.
I forgot to mention the bicycles, Roy and Donna.
Oh, yes.
Yay, that is so pretty. Yeah. So, good job.
And a shout out to Susan, who I believe originally brought the idea in, right? So I feel like it's a really big collaboration here, and it probably didn't get noticed as much that there was that involvement. So it's beautiful.
I just want to say one thing.
Go ahead, Cora Jane. While we've broken all the rules, we might as well
no,
keep on going.
it's a lady thing maybe, but you wouldn't believe how many people have come in the antique mall talking about those bikes.
Yeah.
And how neat they are and all this stuff. So it's really cool. So good job. I want one now.
So, Ronnie, you sure you don't want to reconsider that no comment? Okay. Is there a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
By Mr. Cottle, second by Mr. Davis. All in favor, please say aye. All opposed, please say no.